Итак, дорогие друзья, всем добрый день. Спасибо, что вы сегодня к нам присоединились на наш вебинар, посвященный образованию в Сингапуре. У нас сегодня будет очень интересно, поскольку в гостях у нас сегодня спикер Сингапурского института менеджмента Ави и студентка данного института Анастасия. Мы передадим им слово чуть-чуть позже обязательно. Тем временем я хотела бы для начала вас познакомить с нашей компанией. Да, мы называемся образовательная компания Students International. Работаем в сфере образования за рубежом с 1992 года, и у нас очень большой, как вы понимаете, опыт взаимодействия со студентами, с родителями и, конечно же, с учебными заведениями. Собственно, в чем же, да, заключается наша помощь? Ну, во-первых, мы помогаем ребятам подобрать правильно программу и университет, которые будут максимально подходить под ваши академические интересы, под ваши профессиональные планы на будущее, ну и, конечно же, программы, которые максимально удобны по бюджету. Вот. Помимо консалтинга по этим вопросам, мы ежедневно общаемся с приемными комиссиями учебных заведений, а это означает, что мы помогаем вам правильно подготовить комплект документов, необходимых для поступления. Мы оказываем поддержку в составлении сопроводительных писем, ну и иными словами, весь спектр услуг, который потребуется вам для того, чтобы поступить в выбранное вами учебное заведение. Вот. Тем самым наша помощь не ограничивается. Мы имеем очень большой опыт в оформлении краткосрочных и долгосрочных виз, которые ребята оформляют для обучения за рубежом. Помимо этого, что тоже очень интересно, да, мы помогаем и, конечно же, родителям получить визы и поехать в последующем проведать своих детей, да, посмотреть, как у них проходит учеба, ну и при необходимости, конечно же, организовать встречи с учебным заведением. Помимо образования за рубежом, у нас есть два дополнительных структурных подразделения. Это наша чудесная школа подготовки IELTS. Мы уже подготовили очень много студентов, которые успешно сдали экзамены и поступили в университеты, в колледжи и даже в средние школы за рубеж. Поэтому вы можете смело обращаться к нашим опытным коллегам, которые сориентируют вас по доступным программам, по стоимости и подберут вам максимально удобный график обучения. Отмечу, что занятия мы проводим не только в очном, да, формате, но и на онлайн-платформе. Поэтому, если вы проживаете в других городах, пожалуйста, обращайтесь к коллегам, они вам смогут предложить курсы подготовки к IELTS онлайн. Ну и, наконец-таки, когда речь заходит об обучении за рубежом, нужно студентам обязательно подтвердить уровень английского языка, сдав экзамен IELTS. Безусловно, есть другие форматы, но IELTS, он наиболее универсальный, поскольку он принимается во всем мире. Нужен вам академический формат экзамена, и в нашем IELTS-тест-центре вы сможете сдать как академический модуль, так и общий. Если, к примеру, вы планируете не обучение за рубежом, а уже нацелены на иммиграцию, то да, у нас есть тоже подходящий для вас тип экзамена. Поэтому посещайте сайты наших подразделений, вы их можете наблюдать на слайде. Отмечу, что у нас очень много офисов в разных городах, поэтому если вы проживаете, например, не в Москве, то ничего страшного, вы можете проверить на сайте, есть ли в вашем городе наш филиал или какой филиал расположен максимально близко к вам, и вы можете смело обратиться к нашим коллегам в этом городе, потому что у них тоже уже достаточно большой опыт, они каждый день общаются со студентами, помогают им, консультируют с будущим обучением. Экзамен у нас также проводится в более чем 30 городах России, поэтому вы не ограничены в выборе. Пожалуйста, да, посещайте сайт, вся актуальная информация вывешивается всегда. Но если у вас будут вопросы, вы всегда можете обратиться к нам по телефону, по электронной почте или придя лично в офис. Итак, я наконец готова передать слово нашим коллегам из Singapore Institute of Management. Мы сегодня с вами поговорим о программах обучения, о стипендиях, о том, в принципе, каково это учиться в Сингапуре, и наша студентка Анастасия обязательно поделится своим опытом, поэтому слушайте, готовьте ваши вопросы и задавайте их в чате. Hi, Ivy. Hi, Anastasia. It's so lovely to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for joining the webinar. I'm ready to pass you a word. So Ivy, could you please start sharing your screen?
Sure. Hi, Victoria. Hi, Anas. Thank you for being here and arranging this seminar for us. I'm sharing my screen. Just let me know if you can actually see it. Is it okay? Okay, Victoria, should I start now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Hello from Singapore, and hi to everyone in Russia or maybe in other countries who are joining this seminar this afternoon. So today we have the honor to have one of our SIM scholar, Anastasia, who is here with us, which she will be sharing with you later more about her experience, and you can also ask her questions. So today I'm going to share with you 10 things you need to know about studying in Singapore and in Singapore Institute of Management. Before we start, let's get to know about Singapore first. Singapore was the most competitive economy in the world in 2020. And actually, since 2019, Singapore has taken over US to be the most competitive economy in the world. We have the top 10, we are the top 10 list for World Talent Ranking, and we are named as the best country for children to receive education and to grow up. Singapore is also named the 8th cheapest city in the world to spend a day. And we are very honored to be the most beautiful city in Asia and 11th most beautiful in the world. So Singapore is also named as the world's smartest and safest city, which is very important, whether it's for yourself, for the parents, and when you study abroad, you want to make sure that safety is not something which would become a barrier during your study. The world's best airport for 7 consecutive years is also Singapore's Changi Airport. And Singapore is named as the world's largest marine refueling hub. So although we do not produce any natural gas and oil, but for Singapore, because of our location, we are one of the largest logistic hub. Half of our population is the world's richest 10%. So I'm not sure if you have watched the movie called The Crazy Rich Asian before. So that movie was actually shot in Singapore. Although not everything is true and Singapore is actually not so expensive, but it is true that half of Singapore's population is the world's richest 10%. So although sometimes certain item could be costlier, but because of our purchasing power in terms of our ability to purchase, the income level, it is something that is go in accordance to the economy. So Singapore, we are also the top Asian location for multinational companies, and 46% of multinational companies coming to Asia choose Singapore as their Asia headquarter, Asia Pacific headquarter, and some even the global headquarter. So Singapore is named as the world's safest place during pandemic. So now I would say that probably close to half of our population has received their vaccination, either at least first dose or some have completed both doses. So some of the companies which the name you could be familiar with include like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. These are some of the company where their Asia headquarter is in Singapore, while HP, Asia Pacific headquarter in Singapore, and Dyson, the global headquarter, is actually in Singapore. And because Singapore, we have one of the largest Wi-Fi in the world. So 59% of technology company which comes to Singapore, comes to Asia to be exact, would choose Singapore as their headquarter. So when we talk about Russia and Singapore, we are about like 10 hours away from each other. But maybe many of you are not aware. In Singapore, there are a lot of Russians who are living here. And something that I would find it quite fascinating was that when I met up with the Russian embassy in Singapore, we get to know that there are more than 20,000 Russians who are actually living in Singapore. And some of them have lived here for more than 20 years with their kids born here, and then their kids are now in university already. The youngest Nobel Prize winner is also a Russian, and he's also living in Singapore, Mr. Konstantin. So Singapore is a place where a lot of talents will look for opportunity here because this is where the potential and possibly some of the research funding is. So today we're going to cover these 10 topics. On your left, education, we are going to talk about recognition, duration, cost fee, cost of living, campus life. And for environmental, we are going to talk about the culture, the language, international exposure, employment opportunity, and migration opportunity, and also safety. So let's get started with the introduction of Singapore Institute of Management. Singapore Institute of Management was established in 1964. We are 1 year older than Singapore. So if you know the history of Singapore, we were independent in 1965. And since 1964, SIM has existed. So under SIM, we have our professional development, which we provide trainings to individuals, to company, to governments. Well, for SIM Global Education, we work with UK, US, European, and Australian universities to offer their degree or master's degree in Singapore, meaning that you don't actually need to go to UK, US, Australia, especially during the pandemic. Maybe many do not have the confidence to go far enough, or maybe they would like to go to a country which can give you more confidence that it is safe. So we offer that option that students don't actually need to go to the home country, but we do have transfer or maybe this exchange opportunity, depends on which university you choose. So something special about SIM's history is that in 2005, SIM established SIM University, which has now officially become the 6th public university in Singapore, the Singapore University of Social Sciences. So in this campus, the campus behind me and the campus that you can see in this picture, we have close to 32,000 students, and it includes full-time, part-time, local, international students, and for SUSS, until today, they are still within our campus. So let's talk about recognition first. For recognition, we work with UK, US, Australia, and European university. And what you can see here is that, for example, University at Buffalo, State University of New York, is available in Singapore without having to go to US. For University of London, University of Birmingham, University of Warwick, and University of Stirling, these UK universities, you can complete their degree in Singapore. Same goes for Australia. We have RMIT, La Trobe University, University of Wollongong, and Monash College. Well, for France, we have Grenoble. So duration-wise, I think the degree in Russia will take you 4 years' time. Same goes for US, 4 years' time. But in Singapore, because we don't have the long winter and summer holidays, Singapore is summer throughout, tropical country. So the duration of study is only 3 years. That means you can save 1 year cost of living. The tuition fee in Singapore is also significantly lower because we are only around 30% to 50% in comparison to the home campus, meaning 1/3 or half of it only. Location, we are like in general around 10 hours away, depends on which part of Moscow you come from. And the most important is that end of the day, the qualification you're going to get will be directly awarded by these universities that you see here. So the one that I circle in blue are the universities which you can actually pursue the master's degree from. Okay, so international education, I think if we talk about like 20, 30 years ago, international education is all about, like for example, you go to another country, learn another language, get exposed to different culture. But international education today is no longer just about quality or going to another country. It is about the network that you could build that can benefit your future, the culture and language that you can pick up during your study, and the lecturers, their background, their experience, not just about them coming from another country, but their working experience that they could share with you without you having to experience it yourself. So these are some of the popular universities among our Russian students. For example, University of London. For University of London, we are the largest University of London in the world with the largest number of first-class honors graduate. So we have again broken our own record in 2020, and we have 300 over this first-class honors graduate. And on campus, we have approximately 10,000 students pursuing the University of London program. For University of Birmingham, we are the only business school they have outside UK. It's 100% delivered by the University of Birmingham faculty. For RMIT, we are the largest offshore campus. So let's start with university at Buffalo from State University of New York. For this university, 60% of the program is delivered by University at Buffalo lecturers, and students has double major or double degree option. So what we offer from business to communication, economics, international trade, psychology, sociology, and one of the new major which has attracted a lot of interest is geographic information science. So geographic information science is particularly important for many companies, especially these days when many companies are trying to use location data to solve problems, to learn how to manage their big data and make decisions. So for example, now during the pandemic, we would like to trace where the humans are moving to and then where they've been to. Or if we use Google Map or Yandex Taxi, all these are geographic information science technology. And even the Australia bushfire that happened early in the early 2020 or end 2019, the solution to it was also using partially the geographic information science technology. For University of London, one of the popular universities among all our partners, is one of the oldest university in UK, and the academic direction in Singapore, we utilize three colleges academic direction, which is Goldsmith, UCL, and LSE. So the program is actually developed by these colleges, and the degree is awarded by University of London. Before the exam, the college lecturers would actually come to teach students. And the major available, it covers two big areas. One is the business, social sciences. The other one is actually IT. For social sciences and business, we have accounting, finance, banking, finance, business management, data science, and business analytics is getting particularly popular in Russia and Kazakhstan. And we also have economics and finance, international relations also quite popular in Russia, and management and digital innovation. For computer science, the major that we offer in Singapore is artificial intelligence, machine learning, and mobile development. And these three majors, we have also seen significant interest from Russia. So during your holiday under University of London, you can actually go to London School of Economics for 6-week summer school, but they definitely would actually look at your result as well. Every year, we will sponsor up to £3,000 for students who have performed well academically. And for University of London, there is an option of a general course where students can go to UK for a year to pursue a general degree without specialization. The degree will finally still be awarded by University of London. But I have to share that this is not a particularly popular option because students will usually want to complete the entire degree in Singapore first before they go for a master's degree in UK. For University of Birmingham, we offer both the undergraduate and master's degree. So in Singapore, what we offer in terms of major is accounting, finance, business management, international business and communication. For master's degree, we have financial management, international business management majors in general with specialization in entrepreneurship and organization leadership and change. For University of Stirling is one of a very unique university because the major they offer is always cross-industry and cross-function. So for example, if you learn marketing, it's no longer just general marketing, but you can actually choose digital marketing, retail marketing, sports marketing, or even like event management. So students who would like to go for an exchange, whether like just now, the first University at Buffalo, you can go to Buffalo for 1 term without having to pay the local tuition fee. In Singapore, tuition fee is about half only. And for University of Stirling, same, you will actually go there free for the exchange, but you will have to pay for the cost of living only. For University of Warwick, is for master's degree. For master's degree, the major we offer is like cyber security and management, supply chain logistic management, engineering, business management, and also program and project management. For RMIT, the major that we offer from business include accountancy, economics, finance, international business, logistics, supply chain, management, marketing, and also communication. So for RMIT, it's located in Melbourne, and students who pursue this university's degree, they can actually go to Australia for 6 months' time, and what they pay is actually the Singapore tuition fee. For University of Wollongong, the major we offer is like big data, cybersecurity, digital system security, game and mobile development, and also psychological science. So what we encourage students to do is that even though like the year 3 program is entirely by the university lecturer from Wollongong, but if the student would like to go over to Wollongong, which is about an hour away from Sydney, they can go over to study for the final year. Every year we sponsor approximately around 10 to 20 students to go over while they only pay for the Singapore tuition fee. But if they like to go over on top of the quota that we have, they can always pay the local tuition fee and be transferred there. For La Trobe, we offer the hospitality and tourism and event management major. So it depends on the students' interest. If they would like to opt for hospitality and tourism, what we are offering is actually under the La Trobe University, which is a 15 months diploma plus 1.5-year degree. So these are some of the pictures of our student exchange program for different universities. They may be traveling to other countries, or they will follow SIM for our global exchange program. So in summary, in terms of the majors we offer, it's not just management, although our name is Singapore Institute of Management, that we have psychology, communication, IT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and geographic information sciences, international relations, supply chain logistic management, etc. So duration, let me emphasize again, if you've completed your year 11, you've got your attested from Russian qualification, you can actually pursue 3 years to maximum 3.5-year degree. And this depends on your English level and also your academic qualification at the point of application. But for master's degree, it is usually 12 months, but if you choose the French degree, it would be 24 months. So over here, what I'm trying to highlight is that we have 2 different pathways. The pathway on the left is direct entry, meaning that if you're very certain of which university, which major you want to go for, and your result fulfill the entry requirement of the university, you can go straight into a 3 years degree. While the one on the right-hand side, the difference lies with the 2 dark green boxes on top. So those are the diploma program, which is equivalent to year 1 university. You do not actually need to repeat year 1 after you complete the diploma, and you can choose the university's year 2 to progress to. So if you look at the difference between the left and the right, is that you'll see that left-hand side do not have the maroon red color and also light blue color. That is La Trobe University at Birmingham. Both of these universities require students to go through SIM diploma, which is equivalent to year 1, and then after that, you top up 1.5 to 2 years degree to complete the bachelor's degree. So tuition fee is something very important to all of us here, and please ignore the currency. Please look at just the amount in the row number 1 and number 2. Is that when you are doing a bachelor's degree in Singapore, the tuition fee is approximately 30% to maximum 50% in comparison to home campus. So for example, a degree in the States may cost you around, say, 100,000 USD for 4 years. In Singapore, it will only cost you around 40 to maybe 50,000 USD for the entire degree. So if you'd like to know more, feel free to reach out to Students International. They'll be sharing with you the brochure to show you the cost for the study. But in general, if you actually refer to how much it actually costs you to complete a degree in Singapore for a US degree, you can actually take a calculation of, like, say, for example, 55,000 Singapore dollar times 45. And that is approximately 2.5 million of Russian rubles. Or if you actually go for a University of London degree, for 3 years, it would actually cost you approximately around 1.35 million of rubles. So it would be approximately 450,000 to maybe around 800,000 rubles a year. Okay, so cost of living here, you can actually see it in rubles, and you can actually look at the comparison of US, UK, Australia, and Singapore. Singapore per month is approximately around 70,000 rubles to maybe, depends on where you live. If you are looking for, better accommodation and then the private, apartment to yourself, then it would cost more definitely. But if you would like to save, you definitely can save here. So during my time as an international student in Singapore, it cost me around like maybe $800 a month only, include accommodation and everything else. But this is like 10 over years after my university time. So it's approximately around 1,500, and that would be around 70,000 rubles. So I think in the beginning of the presentation, I actually didn't introduce myself enough because you can just call me Ivy. But Ivy, I was actually an international student like any of you. So if you come to Singapore to study, you would have to experience the same thing like I experienced. I was a foreign student. I came from Hong Kong and I study here. I work here and then I got my permanent resident and I'm now a Singapore resident. So I'm an official Singapore citizen, and I can actually tell you that when you see the news on Facebook that says Singapore is the most expensive country and city in the world, I have a major objection because I don't actually think so, especially when I come from Hong Kong. So why is Singapore named as the most expensive city? There is a reason to it because there are a lot to do with meant for expatriates. So buying a house in Singapore is not expensive, but if you use housing for investment, it is very expensive because the houses here are meant for people to stay. But Singapore is also one of the country where people in the 20s can own their property easier in comparison to many, many developed countries. Buying a car in Singapore is expensive because our transport system here is very, very convenient, and the government is definitely trying to control the car consumption and the car purchase so that our air quality can be better. Buying cigarette and alcohol is definitely expensive because for these items are taxable, and Singapore government look at it as item that doesn't really help you with your health. So very straightforward. When the government encourage you to do something, they subsidize it. But if they would like to reduce consumption, they will increase the price with tax. Okay, so these are some of the accommodation options which could be useful for you. If you choose the condominium, the left top option, definitely more expensive because of the facilities like swimming pool and then your gym. And sometimes you even have basketball court, tennis court, and even like sometimes these massage corner that you can actually hire a masseuse to come in. So Singapore, if you would like to splurge, definitely a lot of options. But I would think that as students, you do have options that is way more affordable. So HDB on the right hand side is actually the government built housing, which is very spacious, beautiful, clean, and the cost is significantly higher. It's approximately, I would say, maybe 40% lower, or sometimes even 50% lower for the same size. So there are also hostel options. So some students, when they come to Singapore, they may stay in the hostel for 1 month to 3 months, depends on how long you would like to stay. There are a lot of options. Per month, it costs you about like 450 to 800 dollars, depends on how many people stay in the room. So you may want to do some research based on your budget, and we can always provide you more information on that. So now let's come to campus life. Campus life is something very important, especially when you study abroad, get to know new friends and learn some new languages, pick up some new culture. And I think those are some of the things which would help you in, like gaining the network that would help you in the future. So currently we have about 16 to 17,000 students in the campus under SIM Global Education, and the students come from 40 countries, and approximately around 25% of our students are international students. So we have students coming from, like, say, for example, Malaysia, Indonesia, this Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and many other countries as well. Even students from Lithuania, we have students from Belarus, we have students from the Eastern Europe like Latvia. Okay, so we have a project named 1095. This is 365 days times 3. So during the 3 years journey, we hope that students can make good use of the learning journey. They can go through our Career Connect department to learn how to write a resume, get interview skills training, grooming training, presentation skills training, etc., data analytics, and even Photoshop. For global learning, during holiday, you can join us for exchange. And even now, when traveling is not the norm anymore, students can still do online exchange so that they can meet new friends and build this network. Learning support, we have senior students who have done well in the subject to support a junior student when they need help. And we have more than 70 student clubs which you can take part. Like, for example, it is divided by nationality, by interest, and by university. So, for example, if today I'm a University of London student, I like to play basketball, and I am a Russian student, I can actually join 3 different clubs, and you will make a lot of friends from different countries. Okay, now we get to the environmental factor here. Let's start with the culture of Singapore. Singapore is a very, very truly multicultural country where we have a mix of Chinese, Malay, Indian, Eurasians, and we have five big religions. So the whole country, we live very harmoniously, and Singapore is a country where you will probably see a church next to a mosque next to the temple. So it is truly very, I would say that it's very inclusive, and we respect people coming from different culture. Language-wise, you will probably be also surprised how many languages a local Singaporean can speak. I would say that easily 3 to 5 languages. So let's take example for myself. My mother tongue is Cantonese, but because I grew up in Indonesia, so I can speak Bahasa Indonesia. And when I come to Singapore, naturally, English become my first language now. And other than that, I do speak the dialect of Singapore, which is the same dialect as Taiwan. We call it Hokkien. And definitely Mandarin, which I also picked up in the journey here, which I know there are a lot of Russian students trying to pick up Mandarin. So language is a very important asset, and do make good use of Singapore as the place where you can pick up all these languages while improving English. International exposure. Singapore has more than 8,000 multinational companies, and with that, we have job opportunity, business opportunity, and our technology, our Wi-Fi is now at 5G, and we are one of the fastest Wi-Fi in the world. During normal time, before pandemic, the tourist number in Singapore is 3 times of our population. So these are some of the things that we thought would be very beneficial to students, because after graduating, there are a lot of opportunity that you can explore. When it comes to employment, I'd like to share with you something first. Singapore is a country where we are good in many ways, but we do have our problem, which is aging population. So Singapore, every year, we only have about approximately 40,000 babies born. And the government is trying to increase our population from the small 5.7 million now to 7 million people. But it's quite hard to do that, because in Singapore, about half of our population are actually PRs. And I think the government, which is why we appreciate talents, and we hope to have foreign talents to actually help us contribute into the economy and also be part of Singapore, so that we can push our economy to the next level. So for Russian students, please note that whenever you come to Singapore, apply for your application, you need to have a student pass to come into Singapore. So student pass is something that I would say that Singapore is very convenient. Everything is online application, and then there are not so much hassle. The only thing you need to provide is a bank statement, which shows that maybe you have a 20,000 USD in your bank account during the application, and then you provide your passport copy, birth certificate, and fill up all the information with a passport size photo, and then that will be good enough. So the school will then take it over. So when we have students international with us in Russia, they can actually help you with the application, and you will just need to wait for the result and prepare for your arrival in Singapore.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Ivy. But speaking of the application process, I can see that we have a question from Maxime, and he's asking, what documents do I need to enroll? And as was stated in the previous slide, the set of documents for student visa is quite simple. But is it the same for application to study, or do they differ a little?
Right. So the document, actually Maxim asked a very good question, and thank you for initiating the question in the beginning of the presentation. So when it comes to application, I think there are two stages. First is the application for the program. The other one is actually the student pass, student visa. So what you see here is actually the student visa document, because this is part of the immigration rule that you will need to fulfill to prepare. But prior to this, there will be a set of documents that you need to submit for the university to evaluate based on the program that you applied for. And that include your attested, your year 9, 10, 11 result, IELTS or TOEFL, depends on the program you apply for. The proficiency requirement could be different. And definitely you still need your passport and a photo. So once you have your passport and your photo, actually the same thing you submit for your student pass. The only difference is that for the program application, we need your school result, we need IELTS, and we need your final national exam result. So later I will also have a slide to show that. Feel free to take a screenshot if you like to, so that you can record these. But not to worry, because students international, they are quite familiar with SIM's process. They can also help you with your application and advise you what to prepare.
Yeah, surely would be happy to do that. There's another question from Maxim. Well, if we can respond to it right now, if you don't mind. He has IELTS certificate, 6.5, but I would love to ask Maxim to specify.
Yes,
sorry?
For the IELTS result, how about the individual band score?
Yeah, I will just ask Maxim to specify this in the comments right now. If you don't mind, I'll just comment in Russian, just in case. Максим, добрый день, спасибо большое за ваши вопросы. Надеюсь, на первый мы вам ответили. Дальше вы можете просто сфотографировать слайды, потому что там перечислен пакет документов, но если у вас будут вопросы, всегда можете написать нам либо в чате, либо после презентации уже с нами связаться. Отлично, что у вас академический модуль. Не могли бы вы, пожалуйста, уточнить, как у вас распределились баллы по остальным частям и на какую программу вы хотите поступать? Бакалавриат, магистратуру, после школы или у вас уже есть высшее образование? Да, спасибо большое. Будем ждать, если что, ваши комментарии. So I just asked Maxim to write his individual band scores and also to specify the program level, whether it's undergraduate or postgraduate, if he's applying after school or he already has a bachelor degree. I think it will help you as well to answer to the questions.
Thank you, Victoria. Yes, I have to say that IELTS 6.5 is good. What we need to look at is the individual band to make sure that, because majority of the university will be asking for IELTS 6.5 with no band below 6.0 for a master's degree. And then for undergraduate, it would also be the same, but there are different pathways which allow you to start English at the lower level. And Maxim has replied us that reading 7.0, listening 6.0, speaking 6.5, and writing 6.5, very good. So you don't actually need to have other proof if you have already achieved the average of 6.0 and above.
Yeah, amazing. Those are very good scores indeed. Well, if we have another questions from Maxim, we'll get back to it. But now, please continue with the presentation.
Sure. So what I like to share with everyone is also the minimum salary in Singapore for a university graduate is about 108,000 rubles. And from SIM, our data shows that majority of the students after completing bachelor's degree, their average salary is approximately around 135,000 rubles per month. And every year we have our career fair where about 130 companies would actually come in to do recruitment. So although now we don't actually run big exhibitions like this, but we have it online, which students can still bring their resume and then get their first round interview done online. Okay, so next we are sharing with you the companies which would come in to do recruitment. Some of them, like for example, DBS Bank, the largest digital bank in the world, Singapore Airline, one of the best airline, diamond grade airline in the world, Accenture, a consulting company, KPMG, PwC, EY, Deloitte, the top audit and accounting firm in the world. So students have many options across different industry, and then they can definitely like search for what suits them best. So in Singapore, there are 5 big industry, which is where the majority of the manpower requirement is. Like for example, healthcare, wholesale trade, infocom media, professional services, and also financial services. So if you would like to, work in Singapore after graduating, do explore some of these industry because they do have higher demand. Okay, so in terms of starting salary, remember we said that we actually higher than the average, and you can actually see that the starting salary for some of university is actually higher because of the major that they have graduated from. The market demand is high, and there is, for example, artificial intelligence, big data, or maybe some other major that is related to technology area. But definitely, students who actually pursue like business and other majors, they will still have their growth subsequently, because usually technology, you start high, but the growth may not be as fast as those who are actually in the business area. And more than half of our students, they actually get 2 job offer and above. So this is a good thing because it would allow our student to have their options and they can choose what suits them best. So to share with everyone something about the social system in Singapore is that from the day you become a permanent resident of Singapore, from your salary, your employer has to pay you additional 17%. So every month you will save about 37% of your salary. And then if you work for 10 years, you will have a saving of approximately 7.65 million rubles. So in Singapore, this fund is actually kept in an account called CPF account, and we can actually use it to buy housing, for insurance, and for this medical and investment purpose. So here, what you see is some of the government housing, which is relatively popular. And then for this housing, of course, we will think that it must be very expensive. How do we actually buy it with that amount of money? So to share with you is that the first house that 2 Singaporean buys is actually subsidized by the government. And for a house of say around 1,000 over square feet, it would cost around 10 million rubles. So if we have 2 Singaporeans buying it, you actually have, remember, 7.65 million times 2. So that is provided if you only buy your property 10 years after you start working. But these are some of the options that people in their 20s have, and it's definitely helping the younger generation to have their own property. So Singapore is also named as one of the safest country and safest city in the world, especially during pandemic. In 2 months' time, we have risen from this number 3 to the first in the world. And I would like to share with you some of the thing about scholarship. Scholarship is something that we would like to share with our students joining this year, and also subsequent year you can also find out. Later you can also get some advice from Anna to let you know what she did to actually qualify for the scholarship. So for scholarship, it's available for a few majors, including accounting, banking, finance, management studies, international business, and IT. And if the student would like to apply for this, remember the deadline for scholarship application is 30th of June. So you will need to submit your application and then your scholarship application via email as well. So you can find out more once you're ready. And this is Anna. Since today she's here, I'm not going to go through this testimonial with you. I'm going to let you have a live testimonial from her. And this is to let you know the documents that you need for the application include like high school transcript certificate, national exam result, and if you're applying for master's degree, you will need your university qualification, resume, and personal statement. While the common documents would be the IELTS, TOEFL, passport copy, and passport photo. If you are applying for scholarship, you will also need a personal statement. Okay. Okay, so before we move to Q&A, I'm going to hand it over to Anastasia. Anna, over to you.
Thank you, Ivy. Добрый день, я еще раз представлюсь. Меня зовут Анастасия, я являюсь студенткой Singapore Institute of Management уже практически 2 года, и за это время я, на самом деле, ни разу не пожалела ни о своем переезде в Сингапур, ни о поступлении в СМ, даже когда сдавала сложные экзамены, и для меня этот опыт, он очень ценный, и мне бы хотелось немножечко дать вам такой небольшой инсайт и поделиться своей такой короткой историей о жизни в Сингапуре и об обучении в ВСМ. В общем, Айви вам уже довольно много всего рассказала о самом Сингапуре. Мое личное знакомство с этой страной состоялось примерно 7 лет назад, и на тот момент я к своему стыду не знала о том, что существует такая замечательная страна Сингапур, но
такие два четкие воспоминания, которые остались у меня с первой моей поездки, это то, что все было очень красиво, и мне казалось, что безумно-безумно дорого, потому что что касается там обеда где-то или элементарно где-то зайти купить воды, мне казалось, что мы платим за все какие-то безумно высокие деньги, но пожив в Сингапуре, этот стереотип, он для меня абсолютно разрушился, потому что я поняла потом уже, что мы ходили исключительно по туристическим местам, а для туристов, понятно, всегда цены завышают. Сингапур, я бы сказала, что там, в принципе, можно жить бюджетно, примерно так же, как в России. То есть вы, мне кажется, не ощутите большую разницу после переезда и будете тратить примерно столько же денег, сколько тратите здесь. Что касается вообще самой страны, почему я ее так люблю, в первую очередь это из-за безопасности. Для меня это было одним из важнейших критериев, потому что на момент переезда мне еще было 17 лет, и я очень переживала по поводу того, как я буду себя ощущать, но Сингапур действительно находится в топе безопасных самых городов мира на втором месте. Это на самом деле не пустые какие-то слова, это действительно так, и когда приезжаешь в страну, это очень четко ощущается. Плюс я люблю Сингапур за его архитектуру, как ни странно. Если вы когда-то были, если вы видели фотографии, вы, я думаю, обратили внимание на все эти какие-то футуристичные здания, которые местами похожи на вообще что-то абсолютно инопланетное. Одно из моих самых любимых мест в Сингапуре — это Gardens by the Bay. Вот если вы еще не знаете, посмотрите фотографии, потрясающе абсолютно выглядит. И когда я узнала о том, что образование сингапурское, оно котируется довольно высоко в мире, я решила, что все, определенно надо поступать. О самом университете SIM я узнала на какой-то образовательной выставке, сама начала как-то мониторить, узнавать, и когда я узнала о том, что SIM сотрудничает с различными мировыми университетами, про которые вам уже Айви рассказала, которые находятся в различных рейтингах QS, я решила, что все, железобетонно буду поступать. И вот, собственно, 2 года уже учусь, и за это время у меня был только положительный опыт, потому что SIM, в принципе, он дает довольно много возможностей как для местных, так и для иностранных студентов, и для меня это было такое удивление, что, например, на первом курсе в моей группе были студенты, я сейчас даже перечислю, и из Кореи, и из Таиланда, и из Индии, и из Гонконга, и из Тайваня, и из Китая, и из-за того, что так много людей с разным бэкграундом, с разных культур, это огромная возможность познакомиться с ними, как-то узнать их менталитет, и это очень как-то раскрепощает, и, мне кажется, как-то подготавливает ко взрослой жизни, потому что ты учишься быть не знаю, что называется flexible, вот, и как-то находить подход к разным людям, так что меня это очень закалило. Еще такая замечательная возможность, которую предоставляет SIM, это возможность получения стипендий, которая называется scholarship, и для меня это было определенной какой-то финансовой поддержкой для моей семьи, потому что я являлась стипендиантом SIM, и на протяжении 15 месяцев, которые длилась первая программа моя, я не платила вообще абсолютно нисколько, и мне кажется, это очень здорово, что вы вот можете получить стипендию и абсолютно нисколько не платить. Что касается вообще структуры обучения, она, безусловно, очень отличается от российской, и каждый семестр, он разделен примерно на 3-4 месяца, все зависит от программы, которую вы проходите, и каждую неделю, 6 дней в неделю вы учитесь. И обучение каждый день проходит по 3 часа, и когда только поступила, я думаю, 3 часа — это как бы совсем вроде ни о чем, я легко буду со всем справляться, но в каждом семестре нужно написать примерно 3-4 письменные работы, какие-то, например, на 1500 слов. Вот сейчас я, можно сказать, на втором курсе, и мне надо писать там на 3-5 тысяч слов. И, конечно, пока ты подготовишь эту работу, пока ты ее напишешь, пока ты ее проверишь, тратится очень много времени. Когда я общаюсь со своими русскими друзьями, которые учатся в российских вузах, и мы там пересчитываем, у кого сколько времени тратится на учебу, мне выходит примерно так же, как у них, несмотря на то, что я учусь там по 3 часа в день. Так что да, это не думайте, что обучение в Сингапуре, оно такое очень простое, тоже здесь есть определенные нюансы, но если вы как бы усидчивы, если вы заинтересованы в том, чтобы получить международный диплом там, с хорошими результатами, то все, безусловно, вполне выполнимо. Вот. Мой совет студентам, которые собираются поступать, это самое важное — это ничего не бояться и быть очень активными, потому что, безусловно, когда вы только переедете, вы можете почувствовать себя, что называется, немножко homesick, но это довольно-таки быстро пройдет, если вы будете сами как-то себя проявлять, потому что, еще раз повторюсь, СМ и образование в Сингапуре, оно дает огромное количество возможностей, и нужно пользоваться этими возможностями, и тогда все обязательно сложится и будет здорово. Так что, если вдруг у вас будут какие-то еще вопросы, или, я не знаю, если вы захотите узнать что-нибудь о стипендии или о чем-то подобном, то вы всегда можете найти меня в любых, мне кажется, социальных сетях, задать мне какие-то вопросы, я всегда с удовольствием отвечаю. Так что вот, спасибо большое за то, что послушали меня.
Да, Анастасия, спасибо вам большое за вашу историю. Все действительно очень интересно. И я уверена, что в будущем поможет многим студентам принять решение. Вот, вы сказали, что у вас с Сингапуром, да, очень положительный опыт. Вот, но также отметили, что вы поехали учиться, когда вам было только 17 лет. Вот, и у меня возник такой вопрос. Ну, во многих странах, например, да, есть свои особенности с оформлением несовершеннолетних студентов, в первую очередь касательно проживания. Вот. И не могли бы вы, может быть, немножко побольше рассказать именно про этот момент, где вы первое время жили, и, может быть, вам институт, да, помогал с поиском жилья, или вы с родителями подобрали какую-то там, квартиру, например, арендовали и спокойно начали жить и учиться в институте?
Сейчас все расскажу. Когда я только поступала, Айви вам уже показала довольно такой интересный слайд, где написано 3 варианта жилья, самые популярные в Сингапуре, но поскольку бюджет моей семьи позволял, и поскольку я сама привыкла жить в максимально комфортных условиях, я снимала квартиру в кондоминиуме. Как уже вам маме рассказала, на территории кондоминиума там вообще есть все, что только можно придумать. И изначально я ехала с моей мамой, потому что я, повторюсь, да, мне было 17 лет, и все контракты подписывала я и еще моя мама, как мой представитель. Вот. Я снимала квартиру также с русской девочкой, которая точно так же обучалась в СМ, и, в принципе, в плане проживания и всего прочего, в плане как-то помочь студентам найти друг друга, СМ он тоже помогает, потому что, собственно, при поступлении мне Айви сообщила о том, что вот есть еще одна русская девочка, которая на ту же программу, что и ты, поступляет, и нас как бы соединили, и вот мы с тех пор дружим и жили вместе. И да, если студентам еще нет 18 лет, то, безусловно, желательно приехать с родителями и оформлять контракт с родителями. Но если, например, вам еще нет 18 и нет возможности приехать в страну с родителями, чтобы они вам помогли со всей этой бумажной работой, то есть вариант снять комнату в хостеле. Айви вам тоже показывала этот вариант, потому что здесь, насколько я знаю, уже не нужен никакой взрослый представитель для того, чтобы заключить контракт с хостелом и туда заселиться. Вот. Что касается вообще проживания, то даже если вам еще нет, даже если, например, вам есть 18, но вы переживаете, что вдруг там вас кто-то как-то обманет, там заберет ваши деньги или что-то такое, здесь вообще нет поводов для беспокойства, потому что в Сингапуре с этим все очень-очень строго, и настолько строго, что никто даже не пытается ничего как-то обмануть кого-то или что-то такое сделать, потому что потом можно просто получить действительно очень суровое наказание за это, поэтому здесь не стоит переживать. Вот, еще раз повторюсь, да, если у вас нет возможности поехать с родителями, то лучше до 18-летия пожить в хостеле, потому что это самый удобный вариант, и он, в принципе, самый экономичный. А если у вас есть возможность, то лучше, да, приехать с родителями, потому что с ними можно будет заключить контракт на аренду жилья. Вот.
Здорово, спасибо большое за такие подробные комментарии. Я вижу, что у нас в секции «Вопросы и ответы» поступил к вам вопрос, Анастасия, от Натальи, и она спрашивает, какая программа была у вас, что вы учились 15 месяцев бесплатно. Вот, ну, на всякий случай, да, вы можете дополнительно сказать.
Повторю на всякий случай, что программа SM, там есть несколько ступеней, и вот первая ступень, после того, как я закончила high school, я поступила на программу диплома, потому что она длится 15 месяцев, и она, по сути, подготавливает студентов к их дальнейшему обучению. В русском у нас, к сожалению, нет эквивалента этой программе, но можно сказать, что это первый год бакалавра. Вот. И я поступила на программу, повторюсь, диплома Management Studies, и я подала документы на scholarship и получила scholarship. Для того, чтобы подать документы на scholarship, вам Айви уже показывала слайд, где продемонстрированы критерии, то есть это нужно сдать экзамен языковой, нужно предоставить аттестат и также обязательно предоставить какие-то дополнительные достижения. То есть если вы, например, спортсмен, то вы можете предоставить там свои какие-то медали, дипломы, если у вас есть волонтерский опыт, тоже, если вы участвовали там в каких-то олимпиадах, ну, то есть предоставить портфолио, по результатам которого комиссия СМ решит, достойны ли вы того, чтобы получить стипендию или нет, а после с вами проведут интервью и уже по результатам интервью решат, дать вам стипендию или нет. Я вот прошла все эти этапы и получила стипендию на 15 месяцев. Вот.
Здорово, да, спасибо большое. Наталья, надеюсь, мы ответили на ваш вопрос, да, что это была подготовительная дипломная программа, на которую студенты поступают после 11 класса. Вот, эта программа приравнивается к первому году бакалавриата, и дальше вы без потери времени переходите уже учиться непосредственно на сам бакалаврский курс. Так, от анонимного участника у нас есть вопрос по поводу общежития. Ну да, общежитие, университет, институт свое не предоставляет, да, вернее, прошу прощения. Вот, но при этом, как сказала Анастасия, как отметила ранее Айви, они могут порекомендовать очень много других вариантов, да, где студенты могут остановиться. И уже в зависимости от вашего бюджета и от условий, в которых вы хотели бы проживать, вы можете выбрать тот вариант, который вам больше всего понравится. Так, давайте пробегусь еще по вопросам. Так. Hi, Ivy again. We do have a few questions that would require your presence as well. There's a new question from Maxim. I assume that he wishes to apply for postgraduate degree, but I might be wrong because he didn't specify it yet. But he's asking if he needs to provide his school certificate. And he's also asking about the demonstration of finances for the student visa.
Sure. Students do not need to have the final qualification yet, but they will need to still submit it once it is ready. So at the point of application, they may have some documents pending. That is okay. For example, if it is for master's degree, they can actually submit a qualification letter sent to the university for a look first. But for undergraduate program, they will have to submit in order to get it evaluated. So for example, if now we are in May and then the final result will only be out in June, they can still apply. They apply now and then they can email the final qualification to us when it is ready. Same goes for scholarship. If they apply for scholarship, because the document has to come in before 30th of June, they can still apply now, submit the scholarship, and when the final qualification is ready, then they submit it again.
Yeah. Amazing. And what about the bank statement for student visa? Is it required? And maybe there are other ways to demonstrate that the student have enough money to study?
Sure. So usually Singapore immigration is actually quite straightforward. We don't ask for the money has to be in the bank account for certain duration. As long as the bank account shows like a 30,000 Singapore dollar, or maybe like around 20,000 USD, you don't actually need to keep that always. It is just that we need to see that that amount of money is available either under the parent's account or the student's account.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. I'll elaborate it in Russian, if you don't mind. Максим, спасибо большое за ваши вопросы. Смотрите, необходимость предоставить аттестат зависит от того, на какую программу вы поступаете. Если вы поступаете после школы на бакалавриат, то, естественно, без аттестата не обойтись. Если же вы хотите подавать документы на программу магистратуры, то там достаточно показать диплом бакалавра, либо если на этапе оформления заявки вы еще не получили диплом на руки, то мы ограничиваемся справкой из университета, что вы еще учитесь, и выпиской оценок, да, за пройденные зачеты и экзамены. Вот. Что касается демонстрации финансов, то для иммиграционной службы вам нужно будет предоставить справку из банка, потому что, сказать, что деньги у вас есть наличными, да, мы, к сожалению, не можем, фотография тоже не подойдет, вот, но не нужно хранить эти деньги на счету постоянно, вы можете просто для визы положить их на счет, сумма должна быть эквивалентна 30 тысячам сингапурских долларов хотя бы, да, и после того, как вас подадут на визу, то, естественно, дальше вы вправе распоряжаться финансами так, как комфортно вам. There's another question from Natalia, and she's asking about the GPA for school graduates to apply for diploma or for the bachelor direct entry.
Okay, for direct entry, usually we'll be asking for 3.5 for the past 3 years out of 5 GPA. And for direct entry, for diploma is also the same. So for scholarship, you will need to be at least 4 to 4.5 and above in order to apply for scholarship. So if you are referring to the direct entry, not every university actually takes in students directly without a foundation. So majority of the Russian students would actually go through the diploma program. But if they are very certain about, like, for example, University of London has their own pathway also. So the easiest would be if you can decide the major first, what subject you want to go for. After that, we can look at what university has these subjects, and then we can list it down for you. And then we look at the entry requirement and recommend you which pathway is the best for you.
Wonderful. I translated into Russian. Наталья, спасибо большое за вопрос. Смотрите, для поступления на дипломную программу и на бакалавриат требуется средний балл от 3,5 из 5. Естественно, как ранее было сказано по презентации, не все университеты принимают напрямую на бакалавриат, и для большинства вам, либо вашему ребенку, все равно нужно будет проходить дипломную программу. Вот. Но если подаваться на стипендию, которую как раз-таки получала Анастасия, то требования по среднему баллу, они будут выше, и нужно, чтобы он был хотя бы от 4 и выше. Да? Естественно, чем он лучше, тем больше шансов получить в последующем стипендию. Вот. Надеюсь, мы ответили на ваш вопрос. Так, давайте, друзья, посмотрим, какие вопросы у вас еще есть. Пока есть возможность, пожалуйста, думайте, пишите в чате, пока наши гости с нами и готовы ответить на ваши вопросы. So I can see that Maxim has another questions. He's asking how easy to apply by myself or through international students. Will international students help me to organize my documents in Novosibirsk center? Well, I can answer to the last part of the question, and the answer is definitely yes. We do have an office in Novosibirsk. Поэтому, да, Максим, у нас есть представительство, наш филиал в Новосибирске, поэтому вы можете обратиться к нашим коллегам. So, Ivy, if you have anything to comment on the application process, yeah, please go ahead.
The application process is one of the easiest in the world, I would say, because all the documents, once Students International actually help you with the processing, it is an online application and they can track the status for you. So once the document is in, and then the student visa status would also be shown in the system, which Students International will have the access to. So it is very straightforward. The information just need to be filled on our website, and then the information will then be processed with immigration. So SIM will take it with the immigration. So you don't need to go to embassy, you don't actually need to deal with additional parties. But the most important is at the documents preparation stage, Students International will advise you how to prepare those documents and make sure that they are in the right place before the submission.
Yeah, great, thank you. So we're going further. Well, Maxim said that he needs a bachelor degree. Well, we'll be happy to counsel him after the webinar, because we don't know about the major he's interested in yet, and Дорогие друзья, мы сейчас в чате разместим Google форму, поэтому если вы хотите более детально обсудить программы или потом, например, организовать индивидуальное собеседование, консультацию, да, правильнее будет сказать, с нами и с нашими коллегами из института, вы заполните просто эту форму, и мы с вами свяжемся в понедельник. Just let me check the questions. There's another one about scholarship, and the student is asking if this scholarship covers tuition and accommodation fees, and is this scholarship paid to the student account or it's deducted from the tuition fees?
The scholarship is now a full scholarship, so meaning that is the tuition fee entirely deducted. So students don't actually need to pay for the tuition fee, but we do not cover cost of living and no accommodation as well. What I'm going to share in the group chat later is actually a link to our virtual campus tour where students can actually walk around on their own. So if they have time, they can actually have a look at the campus and see if they have any questions as well.
Well, wonderful. There's another question from Natalia. Well, she addressed it to Anastasia. Anastasia, if you can comment something based on your application process, please do that. But I think that the question is more to Ivy because it is as follows. Do I need to undergo foundation? Well, because we know that you do offer foundation, but as said earlier, these students can apply for diploma. And what would be the situation when the student would be asked to undergo foundation program? What is the deadline for application? Do you have any internal tests as an alternative to IELTS or TOEFL and other international exams?
Sure. We have an English placement test, which is meant for students to actually do it online, and it would be the replacement for IELTS and TOEFL if students apply for diploma. If they are going for direct entry into the university, no, they will have to have their IELTS or TOEFL. So if you are actually planning to apply for this year, we are having some of the tests upcoming scheduled. So once you apply, we will schedule a time to do the English placement test for you. Foundation program is not mandatory. It depends on your result at the point of application. So if your result has not fulfilled the average of 3.5, then you would actually need to do the foundation, but that provided you have an average GPA of 3.0 and above. For English requirement, it is the same. It is IELTS 5.5 or TOEFL 59. If you do SIM English placement test, it's for the writing and reading. We don't actually test you on speaking and listening. Victoria, you're on mute, so I think they may not be able to hear you.
I'm sorry, I'm back again. I'll just quickly switch into Russian to comment on the questions, if you don't mind, and then we'll proceed. Итак, друзья, по поводу стипендии, к сожалению, не знаю, как обратиться к вам по имени, но смотрите, стипендия не выплачивается студентам, как в России, она просто покрывает стоимость обучения. Да, то есть если бы вы шли учиться без стипендии, вам нужно было бы платить деньги в институт. Если вы получаете стипендию, вы ничего не платите, вы просто поступаете на программу и начинаете учиться, да, когда приезжаете. Наталья, спасибо за такой подробный вопрос. Смотрите, если у студента хороший средний балл от 3-5 и выше, то ему foundation не требуется. Он сразу проходит на дипломную программу. Если средний балл будет чуть-чуть пониже, то, естественно, ему предложат сначала пройти подготовительную программу foundation. На октябрьский набор документы еще принимаются, и с учетом того, что нужно оформлять визу, да, желательно, конечно, уложиться с подачи документов до конца июня. И по поводу TOEFL или IELTS, конечно, оба экзамена принимаются в институте. Вы можете сдавать тот, который вам больше всего нравится, либо, может быть, к тому, к которому вы готовитесь сейчас. Но в СИМ есть такая уникальная особенность. Для подготовительных программ они могут провести свой внутренний тест, поэтому это как альтернатива IELTS и TOEFL идет, и если вы хотите, да, можно при подаче заявки мы договоримся с учебным заведением, чтобы они вам организовали внутреннее тестирование. Те студенты, которые планируют поступать сразу на бакалавриат, естественно, те, кто могут, да, на выбранную программу подаваться напрямую, потому что, повторюсь, не все вузы готовы так зачислять студентов. Вам нужно сдавать IELTS или TOEFL. В зависимости от того, какая специальность вас интересует, какой университет вы выберете, мы можем с вами потом более подробно обсудить. И, как я уже отметила, вы можете заполнить Google форму, которую мои коллеги разместили в чате, и указать, какая специальность вас интересует. И дальше мы уже с вами посмотрим, какие это могут быть университеты и какие условия по поступлению. Так, надеюсь, ответила на ваш вопрос, но если что-то непонятное или возникают какие-то дополнительные идеи, то, пожалуйста, делитесь с нами в чате. So, Ivy, there's another question from the student who is watching the live stream through our social media channels, and he's asking if there are any opportunities to apply for a research internship as a medical graduate.
Graduate in Singapore, or he mean that he graduated from medical major in Russia and planning to go for internship in Singapore?
Well, unfortunately, he didn't specify it, but I think that he's a Russian medical graduate, and if he can find any research internship through SIM.
Right. Okay. So actually, SIM, we are not really a research university, and we don't actually offer medical degree. In fact, the major we offer is mainly into the applied studies and what the industry needs. So for medical practice in Singapore, majority of the students actually have to have a local qualification in order to go into the medical industry. But definitely, if he actually managed to get it through maybe some collaboration between the government, it is still possible. But based on our knowledge, we don't actually have this outreach to help students to get into any medical practices.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Well, medical degrees is a very tough question when it comes to applying to overseas universities from Russia or countries that do not have international medical qualifications. So yeah, that's a very complicated process. But you do have a lot of other interesting and amazing programs. So I do hope that our students today got a lot of useful information, and that will help them to make a decision in future. As I can see, we answered to all of the questions. Anyway, if we do have any inquiries after the webinar, we'd be happy to arrange a face-to-face online meeting with our potential students. Yeah. And I'd love to say massive thank you to both of you, Ivy and Anastasia, for being with us today. That was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and I can see that our attendees also say many thanks to you. Well, we'll be in touch. Yeah, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Victoria, and thank you everyone for spending your Saturday afternoon with me here. I hope to see you in Singapore, and stay safe in Russia.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much. Likewise, Ivy. Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you, Ivy.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys. До свидания. Друзья, да, спасибо большое, что были сегодня с нами. На всякий случай вы можете сохранить контакты, которые размещены на слайде, обратиться в наши офисы в России и в Украине, задать любые вопросы нашим коллегам. Мы с удовольствием ответим, поможем и отправим вас учиться. Всем спасибо большое и всем хорошего